Hi, happy Tuesday, 5th of January, isn't it? Oh, all the bullshit's happening, and it's funny because I've been so low vibe for the last few weeks. Like, I couldn't even bring myself to, like, I don't know. I felt really claustrophobic and closed in on. I felt just oppressive energy for weeks, and, just not being as able to float around happily as I usually can, like a mischievous little elf. I've just been more like, yeah, I don't know, sort of swimming in deeper intensities, reminiscent of more the start of the awakening. Which obviously has beautiful moments in it, when you're in the present properly. It is such a gift, isn't it? It really is a present. And when you can just energetically let the shit go that we're holding. Words and labels have been pissing me off forever, really, but just always wondering, what it is that I'm trying to do, trying to say, and what the point is in my videos. And, just taking myself on some bullshit, sort of, I don't know. I've got myself all overwhelmed over the last few days and weeks with trying to be too many things at once, like, and a master of none of them, just a fucking, more of like what I used to be, just sort of scattered and not looking after myself first and poor boundaries and shit like that. And so, yeah, but anyway, so this dog shit happened last night, which was obviously going to happen, and I'm just livid. But at the same time, it's like, today I'm not. Yesterday, I wasn't either. It's like I felt it coming, but it's just like a rotten horror show, innit? It's a fucking dirty, rotten horror show that just keeps playing no matter how many people are, like, calling bullshit on it. And so the quandary and the juxtaposition all the way through this last year was get involved or not get involved, It's like the higher part of myself realizes that I cannot change anything outside of myself, let alone the world all on my shoulders or anything. So that sort of base feel has helped me out through a lot, especially because I've just got this ingrained struggle, martyr shit going on, that I'm just, I'm laughing at it as it pops up all the time, but it's just these same loops of, and it's me always doing it to myself, that's all that ever is. And it's so funny, actually. This morning I watched a Devon Maggi video. I don't know if, I know a few of you might know him, and I've always resonated with his words and his sort of wisdom, I guess. It's just what comes through the bullshit in it for all of us, that I guess it's the true stuff that help us learn, that we can translate outwardly, that we can share with others. And to do that authentically, you have to be vulnerable, don't you? And you have to be like fearless in a way that you don't care about being judged anymore. That's still one of my main big problems, and slowly I'm allowing this to go. And it's like, anyway, I just realised throughout my own meanderings of my own dog shit the last few weeks that, like, all this channel is, not all it is, but at the roots of what it is, it's for me to heal myself. It's an outlet for me to speak and voice my opinion. And good God, like, the amount of self-censoring that I've done, even though I would never put anything out there that wasn't true, anything that I'd sort of like, I don't know, just sort of thought about for too long. It's like, I just want to stream consciousness, and that's amazing. And I used to feel like a little bit of like, at the start of the awakening, when you're all super fresh into it and you're like, oh, you're having all these revelations, and you want to share them and stuff, and yeah, and that's amazing. But really it's just for us. And so if I don't carry on just chatting shit, and it's not, I don't care, I really don't care. It's so funny. Thank God I don't care. And I've never really cared that much, but you know, about like subscribers or likes or trying to get myself out there or anything like that, I care none about. But over the last year I started to care more about, and I thought, it's because I'm taking myself seriously. And there's a part of that that's still true, you know. It's not, I don't want to just always be like bashing myself. Like, I feel the inner legend, like we all do, you know, the truth of that, and you know, just how powerful that is and what we can do. And collectively, what we're all doing with our little stories and our channels and our interpretations and our own little golden nuggets and gems of wisdom, you know. It's only through our own experience of pain. It's like that Imagine Dragons song, isn't it? Pain, you break me down, you make me a believer. Pain. It's like, it's the pain that we learn from. Anyway, that reminded me. So back to this video this morning that I listened to from Devon Maggi. I think that's how you say it. And yeah, and for me, it's just like pretty simple truths, you know, but people don't like to hear it, that we're in charge, you know, we're in charge of how we feel and perceive things. And if we're, you know, sort of always in fear or judging or projecting things, it's only just a reflection of how we are feeling and what we're emanating. And I don't know, I just feel like sometimes, like, I'm like, what is the real nitty gritty shit that we're trying to get to? It's like, I personally, I don't like collectives, although I feel like there's definitely like a good collective, you know, even though that's playing into dualism. But what I mean by that is people on the journey of self-betterment, that's all I mean. And they come in all shapes and forms, and we're not all on YouTube, you know. I'm sure most people are good people, fucking thick people. They're compliable, is that a word? Compliant, ignorant people sometimes. And I'm a judgmental cunt, which I've fucking been reminded of a few times recently. But anyway. But I think people are good, you know, just willfully ignorant, just, you know, just a different, they're on a different plane of consciousness, and so they exist in a more subconscious, you know, just they're on autopilot. I can hear the swishing. This was my birthday jacket. It was my birthday on New Year's Eve, and that was a difficult day for me as well. I was sat in some real victim consciousness back then. Yeah, I was like, because in my family, I'll just have a little moan about this now. It's not even a moan, it's an outlet, and for me, therapy. Yeah, it's just like materialism was something that I guess was actually frowned upon, but not through knowing that you can't, it's not because it's useful. It was more of feeling inferior or jealous of others who had more. That's the energy that I got from my parents' projections, you know, and jokes, which then I took on, you know, like, who do they think they are? But at the same time, you know, I had my own certain standard, you know, all bullshit, you know. But anyway, materialism as in gifts. And it's interesting because it was, you know, sort of noodling over Christmas with Mark, and he had a completely different experience with celebrations and festivities with his family. They were all about surprises and gifts and bringing magic, I think, essentially. Giving gifts in a good way, I've never been part of or seen until this year when, you know, I've met a couple of real good friends on through YouTube, you know, and my little WhatsApp mates, and and that's really, like, again, just gifts that keep on giving, just this sort of, this pool of give and take, and it's deeper than any kind of materialism, you know, just sort of soul support, which is incredible. But anyway, and I was like, it's like that I've never experienced, and it's probably why I'm finding it harder to pull out of the energies and densities of this, like, lack, you know, this lack. And so I guess my life, I've judged people in many, many ways. And I've had some real hard lessons about the way I have judged people and labelled people. And, you know, I've had a lot of lessons through my own ignorance, you know. And it's funny because the more I'm looking into my own natal chart now, battery's going. Yeah, it allows me to see things that I was never able to see and always projected onto another. Things like ego, you know. I always felt I was some, I mean, after psychedelics, and I felt like, you know, I was some sort of egoless fucking legend, like some spiritual goddess at some points, you know. And the ego of that perception alone is just bizarro, isn't it? But yeah, just sort of projecting that onto another, you know, like how other people have such strong opinions, and, you know, I don't know, it's like I'm always having a conversation with myself, like, in my head, and I do catch myself often that I'm just sort of like not fully listening or taking in information. It's like if I take it in, it's like all or nothing. And so I can seem quite insensitive to people sometimes, like, and I'd never really owned that and acknowledged that. Like, I'd had labels, like, growing up. I've mentioned this a few times. Like, my dad used to call me the daughter of darkness, and he called my brother the son of God, and I just felt it was all so twisted, you know. And now it's hilarious, but anyway. And yeah, just always, because I was a tomboy till I was about 16, and I was into football, got on with boys better. I've always sworn, so, you know, just sort of like not your typical girly girl, feminine, you know, whatever. What's the fucking point of this? What am I saying? I don't know. Anyway, gifts and festivities and celebrations, it was always like, oh, materialism, yeah. So, and it was like, I feel like I was spoiled as a kid, like, not, you know, probably not to some standards, but I could get what I wanted even if I had to wait a while, you know, like expensive pair of football boots, new football kit. Seriously, it was just football stuff that I used to buy. Or, you know, I could get some expensive trainers or a coat, but it was like I would pick what I wanted for Christmas, and then it was like, and then they'd be there. And I remember finding out that, well, I don't know the point of finding out, but I was really very young when I realised that fucking Santa wasn't real. And I once watched a video back of, you know, back in the day when you had those massive camcorders with like a fat microphone on the end, and you used to have little tapes in them, little cassettes. I found these cassettes and this camcorder in the attic when I was about 11, and I put one in the camcorder thing, you know, to play it. It had like a little screen thing on it, and it was me, like, finding, I got no front teeth, so I don't know how old that is, and I'm saying, you know, Santa's not real because, you know, the presents are under there, or some, like, smart-ass comment or something. But I tried to retain that sense of magic on my own throughout my life, but I had such a small family. Nobody was, like, particularly fond of celebrations, you know. We didn't really, like, my life was spent in pubs, and this is not like a sob story or anything. It's like I had a great time and it made me who I am, you know. and that's fine and that's great. But yeah, I just wasn't used to, like, I'd sort of sneered at materialism and gift giving because I'd not understood how to give and receive, you know, as sad as that is. And it's something I'm still working on now. So it was interesting just sort of chewing over these sort of automatic emotional responses that I was getting on my birthday, when I was like, oh, you know, I've got, like, my mum, and why should she? You know, I'm 35, but it's like, when my daughter's 35, I'll still want to get her a present, and I'll know what to get her. And if she hasn't got as many interests as I have, which she will, I'll get her something that's just nice and thoughtful, you know, and I'll want to see her, and I don't know, and it's just, I've never had any of that, so I always feel a bit sorry for myself, you know, on my birthday. It's funny, I nearly said poor for myself, and that shows me how interwoven these mentalities are with abundance or lack thereof, and how that manifests in many different ways, whether it's our own self-consciousness or what we can actually afford in the physical plane, you know. Yeah, super interesting shit. I don't know what I was saying. But I got this. This is super. Well, I got this early Christmas present. It's like a planet bracelet. And then this that's got like a mini world in it. Can you see? It's like the entire cosmos. I love it. And also, I've not received them yet, but I've got some tuning forks coming, and I'm giddy about that. It's funny, I'm like, oh, I've never received gifts, and I've been really spoiled this year. Not by my fucking family there, not by my mum and dad or my brother. Like, I get a text. And then I go, well, what do they get? And I got them some, you know, last minute half-arsed bottle of booze. So who the fuck am I to judge? But yeah, and so talking about judging, I just realised that I am quite selfish, you know, in some ways, and judgmental, and anyway, blah blah, whatever. And so there's some more bullshit. It's nice that 17 minutes, and I just needed to offload a bit of crap, and it is like a confessional. It's like, if I can talk out my own crap, I can catch myself in the bullshit and go, oh right, okay, that's okay, and it just sort of releases. And that's why I need to do these YouTube videos. It's not so I can sell a painting, you know, and put some bread on the table. It's just, you know, so I can be myself and help myself, like, just let go of all this bullshit. I've still got too much bullshit around me, and it annoys me, but I feel good today. And yeah, and it's funny because I always feel calm in an emergency. I feel like back in the spirit of how I was at the beginning of this bullshit, when I could see it was bullshit back then, and it was like, okay, I'm calm in the storm, semi-giddy, you know, semi-giddy, little bit of excitement brewing. And it's a time for me to refocus where I was. And it's on what I was struggling with, which is the freedom, and feeling like I needed freedom and space to work. I was giddy for the kids to go back to school. They had one day yesterday, and now everything's shut down again. So I'm like, you know, on paper, that should have made me be like, oh, because I was so, you know, I'm so full of ideas and things that I want to do. But no, that's not what is to happen. And I'm pretty glad about it in some ways. And so I'm refocusing, and I'm going to spend this next period of bullshit where everything's shut and locked down or whatever, focusing on my parenting skills and trying to release some more shame, guilt, densities, and really come full circle in my understanding. And hopefully, you know, when I'm through it, I can speak myself through it, because it's a big deal. It's a big deal being a parent. It's the way to change the world is to try not to ruin our kids. And of course, every soul is here on their own journey and stuff, but it's a real good shot that we've got, you know, and I used to feel like it was like my job to speak to women, you know, I was like, because I felt like there's so much of this toxic femininity, this female shadow that is not being brought to the light and owned. We can talk about it, but if we don't own it ourselves, it's useless, you know. It's always needs personal reflection, or it's just a fucking false teaching, I think. So anyway,